Welcome to Auction version 4, the event management software tool from Auction Systems. In this video in the EventPay series, I will show you how to handle declines if you have any after processing the credit cards in batch through auction. First of all, I would like to reassure you that declines are rare for charity auctions. Most of the people who come to your event are there to support your organization. One of the most common reasons for a decline is that because there has been so much identity theft in our society in general, many people have told their credit card company not to allow any transactions on their card over a certain amount without prior authorization. They may have forgot to notify their bank that a charge is coming through, or if it takes you more than a couple of days after the event to process the cards, that pre-authorization they did give the bank may have expired. Another reason for a decline that I have seen happen, especially when it takes you more than a few days after the event to process, is that the guest may have been a victim of a potential fraud since the event and they have received a new credit card, thus deactivating the one they swiped at the event. Or if their original card was close to its expiration, they may have received and activated the new card between the event and when you process. And sometimes the card may be declined due to insufficient funds. This can happen if they used a debit card at check-in or they swiped a credit card that is close to its limit and then they spent more money than they anticipated. The reason for the decline sometimes shows up in the error log auction shows you after the transactions have been processed. The reason for the decline has to be given by the cardholder's bank in order for it to show up. Some banks just use a generic message like invalid transaction, so you have no idea why the decline happened. Other banks won't even say why, it just declines the charges. Insufficient funds could be because they used that debit card and their bank won't allow the charge to go through because their checking account doesn't have enough balance or because they've reached their limit on their charge card. In any case, you will need to contact the guest to make arrangements to either pay by a different method or straighten things out with their banks so you can process again. After you close the log, you will be back to the process payment screen, and the majority of the people in this list on the right will have a zero balance. Those are the people whose cards have been successfully charged and the payments have been recorded into auction. To get this list to just the people who still owe money, i.e. the decline or declines if you have more than one, make sure this AND button below the automatic QC button has the dark background, and in the pull down next to the button, choose Balance Due from Guest. Choose the button for non-zero balance. And since you've already processed the credit cards through auction, the list on the right will now be only for the bidders whose cards were declined. A really easy way to find out the contact information for anyone in this list is to right-click on their name and from the pop-up choose Edit. Their name entry screen will pop up in front of this process payment screen. You're actually not going to edit anything about the name. You are simply going to open their address panel in their name entry form to find their phone number or email address. This is another reason why it's so important to enter contact information for your guests into the auction project. If auction has their email and/or phone number, you won't have to look elsewhere for it. Call the person up and as delicately as possible say that you attempted to charge their card for their purchases from your event, however their bank did not allow the charge to go through. Often they will tell you that they need to call their bank and please try again in a few minutes or when they call you back. This is the easiest thing to do because once they give you the go-ahead, you can process again. Since you have the filter for non-zero balance due, you will only be sending up the declines. But if you want to filter further to just only this guest, click the AND below this balance due refinement. From the pull-down next to this AND, you want to choose Name Specific, and then click the IS choice. And from the pull-down below that IS choice, choose the name of the one guest you would like to resend to the processor. Then click Process Payments Now and follow the steps I showed you in the previous video on how to process the credit cards. Since you're only sending one person up, it'll happen really fast. You'll see a new log, and hopefully this guest's credit card will not have been declined this time. Once you close that log and are back to this screen, you can X out of the Name Specific refinement. And if you still have the Balance Due Non-Zero refinement, if you have any other declines, Right-click to find the contact information for the next one you want to deal with. There is no extra cost whatsoever to send the batch up to the processor again and again. What if, when you contact the guest, they would like to pay by check? If they do, once you receive the check in the mail, enter the check payment in that person's register in auction, and since they have a zero balance, they will not appear in the list of people that were declined. What if, when you contact the guest, they tell you they would like to give you a different credit card number? If they can easily come to you and swipe a new credit card in EventPay, you can retrieve that swipe into auction and then process the new card through auction. But often coming to meet you with the new card is inconvenient, and they would just like to tell you the credit card number over the phone. If this is the solution, you will not be able to batch process through auction because auction won't have the credit card number. But you can go to your virtual terminal via the internet and then type in their credit card information into the virtual terminal. This is a point of sale transaction, and you can process it right then while they are on the phone. In the next video in the EventPay series, I will show you how to use the virtual terminal in Card Connect to process a point of sale transaction by typing in the credit card information and the amount due. Thank you for joining us.